Hello, hello, it's Jansen, and we're talking Yellowjackets today, specifically Season 3. So, spoilers for all of Yellowjackets up to Season 3. I would first just say how far this show has fallen. I like to start with the good parts though, so let's talk about that first. The finale. I liked it, didn't love it, but I did enjoy it a lot more than some of the other episodes this season, especially when looking at the past timeline. The windiness, the plans within plans to get Nat out to make the phone call, I thought that was well done. I also enjoyed how they intercut the plot and stitched some of those original shots in there to make it all work and flow. I also liked how they kind of flipped some of those things on their head, especially the misty smile at the end. I think we were all under the impression in that pilot episode that Misty was smiling because of all the craziness going on out there. These girls have completely lost their minds, which they have, but really she was smiling because Nat got out to use the sat phone. Although I really liked the vibes of the past timeline and the overall construction of it, the actual hoops they had to jump through to get Mari to be the pit girl were a little unbelievable. I completely understand you'd want to get rid of the very brightly colored jacket when running through this white forest of snow trying to avoid detection. But you can't tell me that a girl who has survived this long in the wilderness would ever even think about taking her shoes off to run for her life. You're being chased through the woods in the snow by a murderous pack of girls who want to kill and eat you, and you decide to take your shoes off and run barefoot? It is nonsensical. So that kind of brings me to the disappointments of this season and really the series as a whole. I'm not saying anything groundbreaking to say that the show has dipped in quality season after season, and I personally think that continued with Season 3. There are highs to this show, but in my opinion, the lows right now are outweighing those. My biggest gripes are the inconsistency of characters between past and present, and especially this season, how characters interact in the present based on what happened in the past. We've also done ourselves a disservice in this show because we continue to bring characters that we assume just weren't around or didn't make it out and bring them into the present timeline. And what that does for me is really kill any tension in the past of who's going to make it out, who's going to be pit girl, who's going to be this or that, because we know who's in the present timeline. And it's especially frustrating because it has really narrowed down who was going to be pit girl. And I know a lot of people thought it was Mari from the beginning, but that was really our only option at this point. Every other character doesn't even have a name, or we just met this season and don't care about them. So the only options of pit girl were very limited. Travis, Lottie, Van, Ty, Shauna, Nat, Misty, all alive at some point in the future timeline, so they are not pit girl. Obviously Travis never was going to be pit girl, but you get what I'm saying. Yes, it could have been a nameless face, or it could have been someone we met just a few episodes ago that ended up in the pit, but what good would that have been to the audience? You have to make me care about a character to make me care that they are in the pit. And so that can't be someone that you introduced 2 episodes ago, or someone that just had their first lines in Season 3, which really kept the options down to Mari. The one bravo about Pit Girl that I will give the writer's room is Mari herself. I thought they really made her a lot more likable this season before she met her ultimate demise. But now let's get back to my main issue with Season 3 and Season 2 as well. It's really carried on: consistency and continuity. In this season especially, there are so many disconnects between who a character is in the past and who we see in the future. And maybe I should also say, based on what happened in the wilderness, I think there are more inconsistencies on how characters treat other characters in the future versus what happened to them in the past. Shauna is of course your biggest example here, and I'll keep this pretty short because I kind of want to do a video on Shauna herself. But Shauna in Season 3 is a completely different character to me than she was in Season 2 or Season 1, especially when you look at that past timeline. And I know she's been through more than any person ever should, and I can't exactly say how she can or would react, but she has been turned into an angry, one-dimensional character who is brooding and making illogical decisions. Past Shauna has played one single emotion this entire season, and that is anger, which is a disservice to that actress because I've seen her in Season 2 do much, much more. And that amount of one-note anger just doesn't jive with the Shauna that we know in the past or that we really see in the future. And this is where my biggest problem comes in, especially for Shauna. If she's acting this way in the wilderness and essentially keeping many people prisoner, including Nat, who's on the opposite side of her, why in the present timeline would Nat or Ty or Van or whoever even interact with her, let alone act like they're best buds at times in some of the earlier seasons? It worked then and was fine then because Shauna was not a monster like she is in season 3. But now that we've seen what she's done in the past, I cannot square those two things happening. A short list of some of the other inconsistencies that we see would be, of course, Ty topping that. And that would be that she forgot her entire family, who we did see once this season, so that was a nice change. She also forgot that her whole life in season 1 was to be a politician, and yet we never hear about that again. Ty in the wilderness back in the past was reluctant to even join some of the mumbo jumbo that Lottie was talking about, yet in the present is willing to kill a stranger if it will save Van because the wilderness provides. Now I know that's dark Ty, but again, it just does not flow with what we know about Ty in the past or what we've seen so far. And then on the flip side, Van, who is very much about Lottie's mumbo jumbo in the past, in the future seems much more reluctant and hesitant. So I'm not sure if those are inconsistencies or if they just have something planned for season 4 where those two kind of flip and we haven't seen it, but that's another thing that's been on my mind. And then by all reports, it wasn't the showrunner's choice, but you cannot overstate the loss of Juliette Lewis's talent to this show and also the arc of adult Nat to this show. To me, Nat and Shauna were the most compelling characters, past and present, as I believe they were supposed to be. And so losing one of those and losing that dynamic has really crushed the show in many ways. And then looking forward to season 4, I would say if it happens, I'm curious to see what they do. Now that we've answered two of the biggest mysteries, one being who is Pit Girl and one being who is the Antler Queen, how do they keep us engaged in that past timeline when we know, again, many of the people who make it back and we know that they were rescued? I've been thinking for 3 seasons now they would split into factions and that still hasn't happened. Will Nat getting out to make that phone call be the tipping point and finally get us to split? What do you think about season 4? Will we get back on track? As for a rating, not my favorite season, and yet I'll still be here for season 4, 2.5 stars. If you like this kind of video, make sure you subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think about this video, but more importantly, what you think about Yellowjackets, and we will talk soon.